I'd spent months dreaming of this, of cradling my first child, feeling that unbreakable bond I'd pictured since I was young. At 30, Sarah Mitchell, was finally on the cusp of it. My husband, Ethan Mitchell, had once been my everything, his easy smile, his quiet promises of a life together. But as my pregnancy stretched on, he slipped away, lost in a haze of late nights and excuses. I told myself it was temporary, that our baby would pull him back to me. I was wrong, but I didn't know it yet. The nursery was my refuge. I painted it a gentle lavender, hung stars above the crib, and picked out every detail with Lovey, a tiny blanket, a stuffed bear. My friends marveled at my energy, dropping by with tea and laughter. But their visits only underscored Ethan's absence. He's building our future, it'd say, brushing off the ache, though it gnawed at me. Nights were the hardest, me alone, hand on my belly, whispering to my unborn child, vowing to be the mother I'd always wanted to be. Ethan barely noticed. Our talks dwindled to nothing, my hopes met with distracted nods. I wanted to believe I'd wake up when the baby came, that we'd be a family again. That illusion shattered one stormy night. Pain hit me like a lightning bolt, sharp, early, undeniable. My baby was coming, weeks ahead of schedule. I grabbed my phone, hands trembling, and called Ethan. It rang endlessly before he answered, his voice cold, clipped. "I'm in labor," I choked out, fear clawing at me. "I'm stuck at a client dinner," he said, brushing me off before hanging up. I stood there, rain hammering the windows, tears streaming down my face. My husband wasn't coming. In a panic, I dialed my best friend, Lucas Hayes. He'd been my anchor since high school, steady when everything else crumbled. He was at my door in minutes, his eyes wide with concern. He helped me into his truck, his calm words cutting through the storm as we raced to the hospital. "You've got this, Sarah," he said, and I clung to that as the pain surged. The delivery room was chaos, doctors shouting, my body screaming until a fragile cry broke through. My daughter, Ava, was born, tiny and premature, rushed to the neonatal unit before I could touch her. Joy collided with grief. She was here, but I was alone. Ethan showed up the next day, his face blank, his apology a muttered afterthought. "Work ran late," he said, barely glancing at Ava's incubator. I was too exhausted to argue, my eyes fixed on her fragile frame. He left soon after, and the silence stung worse than ever. Lucas came back that night, bringing soup and a quiet strength. He sat with me, listening as I spilled my fears of his health, Ethan's distance. "You're not alone," he said, and those words held me together. Weeks passed, and Ava fought to grow. I lived at the hospital, watching her through glass, my heart breaking with every beep. Ethan's visits were scarce, his excuses thin. One evening, I begged him to come see her. "You're being dramatic," he snapped over the phone. "I've got deadlines." The line went dead, and I stared at Ava, the truth sinking in, I was on my own. When he finally appeared, he scrolled through messages while I spoke, his disinterest palpable. "Why don't you care?" I demanded, my voice shaking. "You're too needy," he shot back, blaming me before storming out. That fight broke something in me, but it also woke me up. I wasn't the failure he was. The final blow came one night as I packed for the hospital. I overheard Ethan on the phone, his voice soft, warm. "See you soon, sweetheart," he said, the tone I'd once used with me. My stomach dropped. He wasn't working. He was with someone else. I didn't confront him, not yet. The betrayal burned, but Ava needed me more. I buried the pain, focusing on her, promising myself I'd deal with him later. Motherhood was a battlefield. Ava struggled to feed, and I wrestled with guilt over every failed nursing attempt. Ethan's mother, Margaret, made it worse, her visits laced with criticism. "You're not trying hard enough," she'd sneer, her words slicing my fragile confidence. But in Ava's quiet moments, your tiny hand in Monet found my fight. Lucas stayed close, bringing meals, sitting with me through the long nights. He saw me when no one else did, and slowly, I started to see myself again. Lucas nudged me toward a postpartum group, and though I balked, I went. The women there were raw, their stories echoing many absent partners' endless guilt. One, Claire, became my lifeline. Shed raised a son alone after her ex left, and her strength sparked something in me. I started writing again something I'd loved before tampering my hurt into words. It was messy, healing, and soon, those words turned into freelance jobs. Small paychecks at first, but enough to light a path forward. The truth hit me hardest one night online. A stranger's post showed Ethan with a woman named Tessa lying close, captioned my everything. My chest tightened, but I didn't crumble. I saved it, evidence for what came next. I wasn't just hurt, he was furious, ready to protect Ava and myself. With Claire's push and Lucas's quiet belief, I met a lawyer. Divorce loomed, daunting but necessary. I gathered proof texts, photos, bank records of Ethan Spindingen, built my case. Writing became my salvation, my articles gaining traction, my voice growing stronger. I turned our spare room into Ava's haven, bright, warm hours. Ethan thought he could erase me, but H misjudged me. I wasn't just surviving, he was reclaiming everything, for Ava, for me, for the life we'd build.